All right, we're going to go live now to Amagon Funeral Home. They are taking Jason Arno's casket right now and loading it into the fire truck that will begin the journey to St. Joseph Cathedral.
That is Engine 2, as we see the casket lifted into Engine 2, the unit which firefighter Arno worked with the Buffalo Fire Department.
You can see quite a turnout there, all of those first responders there, and that's just a small look at how many people are there. Outside the cathedral, we saw so many more as well, too, just there showing their, respect, honoring him and his bravery and sacrifice for our community.
Solemn moment with the snow coming down there on Delaware Avenue. To give you an idea of this procession, which is about to begin, it will be led by several law enforcement vehicles, 9 law enforcement motorcycles from different departments, including Amherst, Cheektowaga, Border Patrol, sheriffs and state police, a Buffalo police car, a state police car, sheriff's car, transit police car, AMR car, and another Buffalo police car will lead that, followed by a hearse, and then Engine 2, which you see there carrying the casket of firefighter Jason Arno.
We know so many different fire departments, not just from the Western New York area, but all around New York State. Even neighboring states, too, are here today as well. So we'll be getting a look at that in just a little bit. You can see those firefighters loading themselves into the rig right now. You can still see part of the casket there draped in the American flag. It looks like they're going to have some folks riding in the back there with him as well. Just a really somber day here in the Queen City. And, it's just been a somber feeling since March 1st when we lost this brave hero.
We do expect one of the more solemn moments of the day to be maybe about 15-20 minutes from now, when that fire truck makes its way past the Engine 2 station house on Virginia Street in Allentown, where Jason Arno worked out of. We do have Sarah Minkowitz there. We expect people will be gathering around there for that moment as that truck makes its way with the rest of the procession to St. Joseph Cathedral, where we have seen, as we saw from Marley Tuskus a moment ago, several firefighters show up to prepare to salute firefighter Arno, as well as the American flag being dropped down over Franklin Street.
Yep, and you can see that black and purple bunting right there. We know that's been on the Engine 2 firehouse. You can see it right there on the fire truck as well, showing that they're mourning the loss of their brother. And, again, we've just seen such a turnout. People, they're expecting thousands to line the streets today for this procession. We know that the funeral itself will not be open to the public, but they've encouraged people who want to show their support, who don't personally know firefighter Jason Arno, to line up on the street, listen to the service, and show support that way. Give the family and friends and those closest to him the privacy to mourn.
And I just want to let everybody know, because it's a mix of family and firefighters, who the pallbearers are for this service today. Delton Arno, Nick Arno, Noah Arno, Michael Ferrero, James Fierro, Wesley King, and firefighter Brandon Probst, firefighter Julio Escalin, and firefighter Robert Trank. It's clear, Abby, that the firefighter family is so important to Jason Arno, Jason Arno's family, and we see that with this ceremony today as this procession gets underway. Those vehicles will head south on Delaware and turn onto Allen Street before turning onto Elmwood and passing the Engine 2 station house.
Like you said, somber moment there. That fire truck just pulled away. And, this is a live look right now outside the cathedral. You can see that firefighter uniform. Just a somber moment for sure. Like you said, with the snow falling down, I know we're going to get a look in just a little bit at just how many people are out there showing their support. It's truly astonishing how the community has come together, not just here, but all around as well, too. Again, law enforcement leading the casket.
We're being told that is firefighter Arno's gear there that we see on that truck right there as well.
He does leave behind a daughter and a wife. We're thinking of them today, too. That 37-year-old hero who we sadly lost March 1st.
This funeral service is scheduled to begin around 10 o'clock. Of course, that is going to be dependent on how long it takes the procession to make its way down into downtown Buffalo. It will be taking place at St. Joseph Cathedral, which is the same church, the same cathedral where 14 years ago we saw the funeral service for Lieutenant McCarthy and firefighter Kroom after they perished equally heroically, serving this city in a fire. And I can't help but think about that day, similar images that we saw outside the cathedral that day to what we're seeing currently on Franklin Street.
We've talked about those similar parallels between Chip McCarthy and Jonathan Kroom. 2009, that happened. Both heroically died in the line of duty, just like Jason Arno here as well.
Just take a moment to appreciate the sight in the sense of community and heroism that we are seeing right now in downtown Buffalo here, as we can see in that shot, people gathering, waiting to salute and thank firefighter Arno.
A job that doesn't get enough appreciation. You know, these people are heroes. There's a live look at St. Joseph Cathedral. They're hanging the flag there.
And we see it appears it has stopped snowing at the downtown, and as we shift back to the area around the Delaware Avenue Funeral Home, we do still see the snow falling as the rest of the vehicles get into line to take this hero to his funeral service, as we welcome our viewers on Channel 4 as we simulcast on WIVB and WNLO, preparing for the funeral of Jason Arno.
They just took his casket from the Amagon Funeral Home, making its way to St. Joseph Cathedral. You can see some of those other first responders and other cars beginning to make their way as well. You can see those flashing lights, and when we checked back in with our cameras out there at the cathedral, we could see all of the hundreds and hundreds of first responders in their blues showing support and honoring this hero that we have. You can see them all lining up there. Wow, what a turnout.
And after the Engine 2 pulls away, it will be followed by a procession group, which will include the funeral director, 2 Buffalo Fire Department SUVs that will be B56 and B44, as well as the family, of course, of Arno, several buses and limousines, and it will be followed by 2 Buffalo police cars as we take this moment to just appreciate the service that firefighter Arno has provided for this city and watch as his casket pulls away from the Amagon Funeral Home. We're joined by Father Quinville, and Father, you see this site here. What runs through your mind?
Well, I can tell you I have been in many funeral processions in my 28 years as a priest, some much more solemn than others. And when someone dies suddenly, when someone dies tragically, and especially when someone dies in the line of duty, the entire community seems to be touched by that. And it's just a reminder that we're all in a procession here in life, you know, hoping to have that ultimate goal to get to the kingdom. But today is a day of, you know, Buffalo sometimes responds with Buffalo Strong, and I always say, it's okay to be Buffalo sad, because we have to grieve. As we're strong in our grief, it doesn't mean we're weak when we cry. And a lot of people, I think, are grieving this. You know, many of us who've had firefighters in our families or know them, always know you never know when that call is going to come.
Father, earlier we spoke with Mayor Byron Brown here on News 4, and he said, you know, this is a celebration of life. I think for many, it's hard to think like that because this is so sad. What would you say to those people?
I think people are kind of very naturally and yet supernaturally drawn to honor someone who has died like this. And it's a very human response to catch people's attention. It's why when a funeral procession goes by in normal traffic, drivers slow down or pull over. People often stand by the sidewalk wherever I'm in a funeral procession, stop and put their hand over their heart or say a prayer. It's always beautiful, but it's going to be, this is a profound thing happening for Buffalo today. Again, we've had so many tragic losses in recent months and this whole year, but we rise to the occasion and we honor his memory. We celebrate his life, as you said, that Mayor Brown said, where we celebrate that his life here on earth was shared, and just the stories we've heard about him in the last 9 days. Really inspiring, a young life cut short, but we believe, believers in God, that life goes on beyond this. And so that's the consolation. That's what the bishop, I'm sure, will encourage people to think about. And Father Van Dyke, who's giving a homily, who was a friend of Jason Arno's from his Canisius high school years.
That's right. The funeral service will be led by Bishop Michael Fisher. There will be several concelebrants as well. And as you referenced, Father, it will be Father Van Dyke, who worked at Canisius, taught firefighter Arno when he was a student at Canisius. Father Quinlivan, you've certainly said a lot of funerals. And as you prepare for a funeral service, what is your state of mind as a priest?
Well, it varies from funeral to funeral. There are those who, when I get the phone call, I know who it is, I know where they sat in church, I know their husband, I know their wife, I know their children. And there are those where it's someone I've never met. And so when it's the people I haven't met, I have to make an extra effort to contact the family, at least have one of my staff sit with them for a while, get their story. And it's important to weave that story into the words of the homily and the celebration of life, and remind the people who are there too, we're still on that journey. We're still in that procession of this life ourselves. And when we gather together, when we console one another, it's, people say to me sometimes, they say, I don't know if this is the right word to say, but that funeral was beautiful. And I say, well, funerals can be beautiful, even though they're very sad, even when they're tragic. Our honoring of life is always something that touches us and inspires us, you know. It makes us say, how are we going to live our lives? What sacrifices are we willing to make for others? The motto of the Buffalo Fire Company is Ut vivant ali, which means so others may live. It's on their stationery, it's on their uniforms, so that others may live. That willingness to sacrifice. Our first responders, ever since 2001, we've been using that expression a lot more since 9/11. And they're still responding first. Even during this funeral, there might be 9/11 calls, there might be fires, and there's always 24/7 willing to serve. And that is something that gives us all pause to think about and be grateful for those who are willing to put themselves on the line for our safety and that we might live.
Father, you were here when they took Jason Arno's casket, loaded it into the fire truck, and drove away. What do you imagine is going through the minds of the people in that fire truck?
Well, there may be some who were here for the last funeral of a firefighter killed in a funeral. There may be some who've never been at one. And it goes through my mind that you get your veteran firefighters maybe on the verge of retirement who've been through it a few times too many. Once is too many, right? And then you have some who, maybe the rookies, who are hearing the stories about this young man and thinking, his life on earth has come to an end, but what a life he had and what a human being he was in his generosity of spirit. They say, you know, he loved to cook, he loved to be with people. The pictures of him, there's a picture of him with his daughter on the front of the program for the funeral this morning. That's just, it's touching and heartbreaking at the same time. So there's a mix of emotions on a day like today. The gratitude kind of rises up as we go.
We've been speaking with Father Bill Quinlivan of St. Martin Parish in Buffalo. Father, we spoke last week with Father Seil, who is the chaplain of the Buffalo Fire Department, works out of the First Ward at Our Lady of Perpetual Help, as we see. Take a moment here to take a look out front of Station House of Engine 2 in Allentown. The work that these chaplains have to do cannot be easy, Father.
Not at all. Actually, Father Seil's been living with me in my rectory because he had pipes burst during the blizzard. And so I see him every day, and I see his commitment to the fire company. He gets called out in the middle of the night, and I see him in the morning, and he's like, yeah, I was out for a while and just having a cup of coffee to get on with my day and go over to my church. And the commitment that the chaplains have, the relationship they build with the firefighters is very important for the morale of the firefighters because of days like this where the presence of a minister
and Father, we're just going to take a moment here and watch as this procession makes its way past Engine 2 in the Allentown district of Buffalo.
See Jason Arno's casket there, right in the back of that fire truck, draped in the American flag, just passed by Engine 2 with his brothers and sisters beside him.
It will now make its way south into downtown Buffalo, as we see a salute there from that gentleman towards St. Joseph Cathedral, which is where the funeral service, as we have been telling you, will be taking place. This is such a moving moment, Father, and we get a sense of this community's pride in firefighter Arno and the work that our firefighters do.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And the salute from the stranger, who could very well be someone whose life could have been saved in a fire by this fireman Arno, in his heroism.
We see the emotion coming out there. People.
Such an emotional day here. I think everybody, we just saw it. We're seeing these gentlemen embrace here. Those other folks saluting as the fire truck with his body in it passed by. I think we're going to be seeing so much of that today here. Father, what would you say to people maybe overcome with emotion right now? Certainly a heartbreaking day.
I think the important thing at a time like this is to remember how important it is to reach out to each other. A lot of times people are so touched by this, they don't know what to do with the emotions of it. But I would say to lift that up to the Lord, and bring it into a moment of prayer. And the importance and the profound meaning of the ceremonies, the ritual of what's going on here is to give a proper burial to this good man who gave his life. It really just puts everything on pause. People can rise to the occasion to honor him, and I'm sure that's what everybody wants to do, is going to be part of the funeral today. Give the best celebration that they can. Give glory to God for this man's life.
We just saw the Greater Buffalo Firefighters Pipes and Drums Band. We will be hearing from them shortly. They are there in front of St. Joseph Cathedral. Marley Tuskus is there as well. Marley?
Chris, it's been an emotional scene here, as you can imagine, outside St. Joseph Cathedral. You can see they are getting ready to welcome the Engine 2 that is carrying firefighter Jason Arno and honor him as we prepare for his funeral here. The Buffalo Fire Department has hung an American flag. That Engine 2 fire truck will drive under it after the funeral as it makes its way to Forest Lawn Cemetery. Now, again, just an emotional scene here. As I noted earlier, we have members of fire departments from all across the state. I'm going to pause talking now so you can listen in to the drum band play. Now, again, as I was just noting, there are several members of fire departments from across the state as well as Canada, Pennsylvania, but also one thing to note, we have members of the public who have started showing up here outside of St. Joseph Cathedral. I just spoke with two women who say that they felt compelled to come out here and support the family after seeing everything that they have gone through. The fact that Jason Arno was killed while in the line of duty while protecting the city of Buffalo really stuck with them, and they wanted to show the family that support after all of the support that Jason Arno gave the city of Buffalo. We heard from Fire Commissioner William Ronaldo yesterday, who told us that that was the best way that members of the public could support the family today, was by being here, standing here to watch the processional. We are expecting fire truck from Engine 2 to make its way here shortly with Jason Arno. And of course, we will continue to show you that live here on Channel 4. For now, Chris and Abby, I am going to send it back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Marley. And something people may not know about that drum band, by the way, that we just heard from, it only formed, I believe, 2012, yep. And that came, that idea came out of what we saw in 2009 at the funeral of Lieutenant McCarthy and firefighter Kroom. A band from Washington, D.C. came into Buffalo to perform at that, and we had firefighters here in Buffalo say there's no reason that we can't create such of a band of our own and travel to other cities, perform when necessary. So that is what we are hearing now for the first time ever, this band playing at the funeral of a Buffalo firefighter, Abby.
You know, just something I want to make note of, too, that Marley said, and it struck me for a minute. People, just Western New Yorkers, the general public, they're showing up there today to honor this fallen firefighter. And, you know, you see them out, you see them in their uniforms. Does it ever really hit you what it is that they are doing? They are running toward danger when everybody else is running away. And that is what we're doing here today. We're honoring a man who put his life above who put other people's lives above anything else. He gave his life so that other people could live. And you know, we heard from Fire Commissioner William Ronaldo. He pressed his man down button, which prompted everybody else to leave. You know, Fire Commissioner said everybody needs to get out, and that saved the life of how many Buffalo firefighters? Just something to think about.
Father Bill Quinlivan is with us, the Cathedral Father, a beautiful church which will be the setting for this funeral. What can you tell us about the cathedral?
Well, St. Joseph's Cathedral is the parish church of the Bishop of Buffalo. And there's a special seat there, a cathedral, like the Holy Father has a seat in Rome to recognize his authority. And the cathedral is the place where many of our centralized celebrations happen. And when something like this happens, I'm sure Bishop Mike Fisher made the call quickly. He was actually on Main Street the day of the fire, and when they brought firefighter Arno's body out, because the Catholic Center is just a few blocks away. I'm sure he made every effort to make sure they were welcome to come to use our diocesan cathedral for this very poignant day.
Can't even imagine what it's like down there right now. We do have team coverage, several reporters and photographers down there capturing these moments for you. Father, you know, what do you've been to processions before. What is the overall feeling that, you know, is there today?
Very often I think that those who are in the procession are anticipating getting to the celebration. There's kind of you almost want to be present in the procession, I'm sure those driving along Delaware Avenue, his family and his friends and his fellow firefighters, are just looking at all the people on the sidewalk and astounded that that many people would come out on a little bit of a snowy day in March, because it's just so important to them. The last procession of the day is off to the place of burial, and that's
There'll be a Forest Lawn
important too.
Cemetery after the service, as we see the beginning of this procession start to turn north onto Franklin Street.
Looks like state police right there leading the charge on those motorcycles.
Several different police departments are a part of this procession, as we see it slowly making its way past St. Joseph Cathedral's entrance. Father Quinlivan?
I just wanted to mention, once they arrive at the cathedral, when they remove the casket from the fire truck, they'll also remove the American flag. And when they enter the church, or unless they do it right after they come into the church, they will then, the bishop will sprinkle the casket with holy water, and then they place a white pall over the casket for the celebration of the Mass,
Okay.
with a cross usually. At the end of it, at the procession out to the cemetery, they then remove the pall, put the flag back on, and salute the flag with his body once again.
Very methodical, very well planned out. This is something that is obviously very, very important and serious to not just the family, but the whole Western New York community as well.
This funeral will be airing on Channel 4. It is expected to last roughly 90 minutes to 2 hours. And at that point, as Father Quinlivan mentioned, procession to the cemetery will begin. It will be Forest Lawn Cemetery where that will take place. And that, Father, will be a more private moment. While we will have cameras in the church for the funeral, the burial will be a more private moment. When you speak at the funeral versus at the burial itself, how are the words you use maybe different?
I think at the funeral, your focus is on the celebration of a person's life and giving God glory for that life. And then there's that bringing the body, or the cremated remains in some cases, to their place of rest. And that's why cemeteries are a sacred place. And that's why we place the human remains in a place where the family can visit later on and remember him, place flowers, Memorial Day, anniversary of death. I'm a regular visitor to my family's graves. I just find that a comforting experience. And I work closely with funeral directors and cemetery workers all the time. And their work some days is extremely difficult for them, even though they do this every day. This is an unusually particularly profound burial and celebration of one life that really has touched so many of us here in Western New York and beyond.
Father, forgive me, I don't know how long you've been in the area. I don't know, if you're familiar. Were you here in 2009 when Chip McCarthy and Jonathan Kroon? What was that like, and are you seeing parallels here?
Well, back in 2009, I'm a Buffalo native. I was born in Canada, but you don't need to know that. Here since I was 2 years old. My uncle was a fire battalion chief, and my cousin John, his son, my uncle served 37 years. My cousin served almost 30 and just retired. He was on the force in 2009. I just spoke to him last night, and he said, that was a time just for all the firefighters when they were profoundly moved by the whole situation. And so these are the key moments along the story of Buffalo, where we mark something that will affect us for time ahead of us. And as we remember, our remembering is really important of our loved ones, and telling the story of their life doesn't end with the final prayer today. It continues for the family, for the friends.
And we're seeing some buses line up in front of the church. We know that those buses and some limousines are carrying the family members of firefighter Arno, the fire truck engine 2, which is carrying the casket will be coming in later, which time, of course, the casket will be brought into St. Joseph Cathedral.
Just take a minute and really absorb everything that you're seeing right now. All of the firefighters dressed in blues, that flag at half-staff, we have that flag hanging directly above our camera right now in his honor. And, you know, when we saw the procession leave Amagon Funeral Home, just the number of first responders and people there showing support and showing their appreciation for him, it's truly remarkable how this community has come out to honor 37-year-old Jason Arno.
And we can see in the center left of that shot there, a flag at half-staff. We have seen those all over the city and region for the past week and a half or so. We have seen the city lit up in red for the last week and a half as this community honors and thanks Jason Arno.
Again, that funeral is supposed to start around 10 o'clock. We will be streaming it on WIVB.com as well. Looks like things are still moving along. Those firefighters lined up at attention, just waiting for that casket to arrive.
We know firefighters have come in from not just across this region, not just the suburbs, but also other areas around the state, other states,
Canada.
as far away as, you're correct, Canada. Just as we know Buffalo firefighters would do the same. As we continue to see loved ones make their way into the cathedral.
Father, I know you have the program in front of you for the Mass today.
I do.
Can you just walk us through what exactly will happen once the funeral starts?
Sure. The introductory rites begin with the greeting of the bishop and sprinkling with holy water, placing the palm and the gathering hymn. Today's being sung, "Here I Am, Lord." And that's really a beautiful song about being at the Lord's service as Jason was in the service of our city. Then there's the Liturgy of the Word with readings and a psalm, "Shepherd Me, O God," is going to be sung, the 23rd Psalm, "The Lord is our shepherd." The gospel will be proclaimed. Father Jim Van Dyke will give a homily. The presentation of the gifts will be done by some of his family members. The Eucharistic prayer, Our Father, the sign of peace. Very often the sign of peace at a funeral mass kind of breaks the tension. If there's a buildup of emotion in people, the sign of peace, showing their love for each other. And even to the stranger, a lot of times strangers are in tears at funerals, just letting out what they've been trying to deal with. There'll be a number of remembrances after communion by his brother, Dalton, and a former fire commissioner, Michael DeRazio. The mayor will speak. There'll be other tributes to him at the end. And then finally, the song of farewell, the Buffalo Fire Department Honor Guard, prayer of commendation, recessional will be Amazing Grace, and then they will process out in honor and in continuing solemnity, take him to his place of rest.
We're taking a live look inside St. Joseph Cathedral right now. The funeral service for firefighter Jason Arno, scheduled to begin at 10. We don't know that it will begin exactly at 10, but it will certainly be beginning once everybody is in place. We're going to get to News 4's Sarah Minkwitz in a moment. She's live in Allentown at Engine 2. That is Jason Arno's firehouse. And we saw roughly 15 minutes or so ago, Engine 2 carry firefighter Arno's casket past that station house one last time. We'll check in with Sarah in just a moment as we continue to take a look inside the cathedral here.
Beautiful cathedral, and very full right now. I know they're keeping it private, friends and family, and those who knew him well there today, the general public outside, obviously lining that procession route.
Right.
Let's go to Sarah Minkowitz now. We'll get an update from her. Sarah.
We'll check in with Sarah in just a moment. Father, the gathering of the speeches for a funeral service, the obituaries that are given, the eulogies that are given, it takes a lot to organize these. Can you kind of walk us through how a priest such as yourself would play a part in the organization of a funeral service?
Sure, of course. In some circumstances, there are a number of people who want to speak at the eulogy time. In some circumstances, they want to share information with you, but no one feels able to get up and speak. It's not technically part of a Catholic funeral, but it's allowed in many churches. What I always tell people in preparing a eulogy is what I hope to do is take the scripture at the celebration and integrate it into the life story. And I say, you're the family member. You tell it from the family perspective. Tell us a story about your loved one that maybe no one has heard. Maybe it didn't even get reported in the last 9 days. There are many facets and aspects to a person's personality. And many times they'll say he loved his wife, he loved his child. Of course he did. It's obvious that he did. But then the how he loved them, the way he served them. The one story I heard was that he would cook in the firehouse and then he would bring the leftover food out into the streets to people who look like they could use a meal and give it to them. That's the kind of thing that always touches me, that going out to others doesn't stop when you take the uniform off and go home after your shift.
Father, we just went through the program. The music choices are deliberately picked.
Yes.
Let's speak about Amazing Grace.
Sure.
Because that is one of the last songs that we'll play. And what a
Yes.
beautiful choice.
And I wish I knew the number in my head. This is a significant anniversary year for Amazing Grace. I think it's 250 years or something.
Wow.
Okay.
I don't know the number for sure. Apologies on that. Not a good memorizer. But the music is chosen. You very often try to choose music that is well known by the congregation, because when the people sing, especially in a full church, even though sometimes people sing and their voice cracks because they're getting choked up, sometimes what's choking us up is the beauty of song. I'm also a musician. But when a church full of people raises up, when people hear the bagpipes, it touches them. You know, there's something about the sound of a bagpipe. It has like a mournful wail to it that gives voice to grief, although it'll also be played in a week down Delaware Avenue at the St. Patrick's Day Parade. So the contrast between the more joyous celebration and the sorrowful.
All right, we have Sarah Minkowitz now. She is live. Sarah, if you can hear us, let's get an update on where things are.
Abby, well, for the most part, things have cleared out here around Engine 2. You're looking at all the flowers that people have been dropping off over the past week, really, since Jason Arno's passing. You're seeing just a lot of flowers as people kind of paid their respects. Earlier today, it was a very emotional here around Engine 2. We saw firefighters. I talked to some firefighters who drove up here from Cleveland to pay their respects. And you're seeing flowers now, but earlier today, they even laid out Jason Arno's uniform on an Engine 2 fire truck, respectfully, for people to again pay their respects. Just a very emotional moment here at Engine 2, and a lot of firefighters, a lot of first responders. We saw people from the community as well gather out here to pay their respects. Again, you're looking at the flowers that people have been dropping off since Arno's passing, and just a very emotional day here at Engine 2.
Sarah, thank you very much. I know you said you've been speaking with the firefighters, so we will check back in with you in just a little bit.
Let's see if we can take the shot at the cathedral right now, because we can see that Engine 2 is making its way up Franklin Street in the direction, there it is right there, of the cathedral. That fire truck is carrying the casket holding the body of firefighter Jason Arno. And we can hear the band playing.
Sirens and other firefighters at attention. Let's just take a listen.
It's 10 o'clock. This is special live coverage of the firefighter Jason Arno's funeral service. The casket of firefighter Arno is on engine 2 right now and about to be taken into St. Joseph Cathedral.